Welcome to a video about Mind Flayers, D&D's flagship hat tip to our beloved boy H.P. Lovecraft, whose rampant racism was outshined by another symptom of his insanity, cosmic literature. I would have made a video about aberrations as a whole, but I think the three kings are each complicated enough to have their own spotlight. At some point in history, during almost every D&D multiverse, the world was ruled by gods, dragons, giants, aboleths, and half a dozen other creatures. The Mind Flayer Empire was, or will be, a member of the multiversally evil and naughty in every sense, club. Let's try and start from their beginning, in the Far Realm. And from that, they traveled into space as cosmic pirates with technology that almost surpasses what Elon Musk dreams about. The reason they left, and why they're called brainhead eaters from outer space, is because they all do what we call the Big Think, or psionics. The Big Think takes a lot of power on the level that Mind Flayers use it, and their alien bodies have certain dietary needs that we can't outright understand. Their anatomy is half science and half space science, so I'll try to explain. See this guy's body? His gross, purple leather skin that wraps around his knife-like fingers? Actually, 90% of this used to be a normal dude. Instead of just doing it, a Mind Flayer will find a random person and tase his brain. Then he slips his beautiful baby boy, this little fucking leech he pooped out, safely into the person's nose. Then it treats his brain like a TV dinner, latches on to the USB port the brain was attached to, and turns the body into one of these. So a Mind Flayer, as I would describe it, is more referring to whatever type of consciousness is borrowing our flesh. And in order to survive, this thing needs an even diet of memories, thoughts, and omega-3 fatty acids. Brains have both in spades, so they latch onto people, peel back the skull, and chow down. Hence the name. In Undercommon, I think they're called Illithids. Now let's dive back to their past, whenever that was. Years ago, when their slave-based empire ruled half the world, they got lazy. They turned a massive race of Shrek elves into mind-controlled slaves, who also served as a snack pantry when the Illithids got hungry. These guys are what we call Gith. Their history with the Mind Flayers doesn't start out unique. Brain-dead slaves are something of a staple in brain monster societies. After years of ruling space, however, one Gith, named Gith, got a hold of Karl Marx's The Communist Manifesto, as well as a small pamphlet called Psionics for Dummies. He got together with his friends, taught them to seize the means of production, and they destroyed the Mind Flayer Empire once and for all. Probably. We don't actually know. Now Mind Flayers are a bunch of cowering pussies, tucked away in the Underdark, hiding from extinction. What a legacy. Let's take a look at their sad little colonial lives, and just what they're up to today. Each colony is like a big, ugly purple ant hive. At the center of the action, we have the Queen, this big brain that looks like it was designed during the Bronze Age of Marvel Comics. Thralls and slaves are to Mind Flayers as Mind Flayers are to the Elder Brain. Put as a not stupid metaphor, Illithids serve the Elder Brain whether they want to or not. It's a hive mind. I don't know why I described it so many different ways. The colony's first priority is to keep this rancid jar of meat and thoughts alive and well. Just below that is their hunger for brains. They'll die without a good meal every now and then, so they have to risk their scrawny hide every month to run to McDonald's. The ironic tragedy that they face is their paranoia and fear of their own food source. They tried the whole turn a race into local slave things a few more times, and they have yet to realize that it just doesn't work on smart creatures. An early colony tricked a bunch of dwarves into mining straight into their home, and wrangled them all up like lemmings. They turned them purple, made them evil, and told them to work while the Illithids all played Smash Bros. Surprise, surprise, another revolution. So that didn't work. What was the lesson from that tangent? I actually have one. Mind Flayer society has a paradox, because what keeps them alive and growing is usually one of their greatest threats. The second greatest threat is the rise of a new colony leader. These guys have a habit of sticking their little worms into the ears, nose, and throats of whatever they see move. And sometimes one of those leeches has that special je ne sais quoi that creates a Eulithard. That just means extra special brainhead eater. When they grow up, they actively double the expansion of the colony, which can totally fuck everything up. Then they set out on their own to make it big as a new Elder Brain. And the Elder Brain that raised him hates his guts. Partly because a fancy Mind Flayer doesn't have to listen to the Elder, but also because he takes half of everyone with him when he leaves. So the first thing a new colony does is set up shop right next to an established civilization. This is usually a drow settlement, one of the 4 other races in the Underdark. They quietly pick off slaves, adding meat to their numbers and their fridge. Once they've settled in and have a decent food source, the fancy dudes with longer tentacles sits back and turns into Mother Brain from Metroid. Since Mind Flayers can float at will, their homes are built with cute little chutes for them to fly around in, and their legs 100% suffer from muscle atrophy. They build a decent number of alien rooms around their beloved sausage ball, so let's observe where a new capture would find themselves inside. The entries are guarded by some of their stronger slaves, usually these bear things they stole from the Drow. Further in, we find the Cleansing Chamber. This is where you're stripped buck-ass nude and fully shaved, or incinerated if you have a cold. They're not fond of weak thralls. Then you're promptly taken to the Transformation Chamber. They slip you into what looks like a cryopod, then blast Darude Sandstorm overlapped with binaural beats until you either pop or grow psychic muscles. If you pop, you go on down to the Dissection Chamber. This is their lab, where they tear apart failures and shove tadpoles into just about anything. Some experiments include brain dogs, brain rats, brain eyeballs, brain stalagmites, and if they really fuck up, Titanic brain worm. Tucked away by the big brain's decree, the little baby leeches swim around in little brine bubbles waiting to be shoved in somebody's ear. If the colony gets trashed, the bubble becomes a baby thunderdome until one emerges supreme, in the form of an enormous purple snake. Mind Flayers hate these things, because boy are they embarrassing. Each colony has to find a way to deal with its local food source. If they're weak as fuck, they send in spies to collect enemies to add to their numbers. If they're doing extremely well, they develop indirect nukes and plagues to annihilate their neighbors without getting their hands dirty. If their neighbor has strong defenses, they tear apart society from the inside with some careful planning. Once everyone around them is either livestock, slaves, guards, or scraps of flesh in a test tube, they can live happily. And then expand some more, because that's basically Mind Flayers.